call him Jimmy. He's a sterile processor in travel.
He's a sterile processor and a traveler?
Sterile process technician.
Okay.
So, first of all, if anybody can't hear me, just raise your hand. I'll talk a little louder. I can do that. My job is one of the most important in the hospital. People don't know it even exists, but it's very, very important. Without my job, there are no surgeries. If I'm not fluent in what I'm doing, and I'm not sure about what I'm doing, I can kill somebody. It's a very, very, very important role that I have that people don't even know my job even exists. So what my job is I sterilize surgical equipment by steam. They come down right from the OR, dirty, so you have to wash them in what looks like a dishwasher, basically. Wash them, take them over to the other side where it's clean. You make sure everything is all there and all clean. It's like baking a cake. Just go down a recipe, make sure everything's there. If you don't know the processes, like I said, people's lives are in your hands. It's not just like you're making the bed or you're security or you're working at McDonald's or something. This is people's lives are in your hands. It's not a job that's high in praise. And when everything falls downhill, we're the last people to get the hit for it. So you gotta have thick skin, you gotta be able to take it, and you gotta be able to take the blames everything. So if this or that happens or whatever, surgeons are mad, they're gonna blame sterile processing immediately. That's just how it goes. But the main thing about my job is the fact that we get the surgeries ready for tomorrow. So without me, without the people like me, there's no surgery. And people don't really realize how important that really is to have all these processes that are in motion for sterility time or the definition of sterility or anything that you don't realize is a very, very important process of surgery. So I walk around, I wear scrubs all the time. People assume I'm a doctor right away. They just look at me and say, "Oh, hey, how's it going, doctor?" No, there are other, jobs in the hospital that aren't just doctors that walk around in scrubs. But nobody realizes the importance of what I do for a nurse. Yes, you realize how important that is. A doctor, yes, you realize how important that is. I didn't even know what this even existed until I went to college. I went to the advisor. I said, "Well, what do you got for hospital?" So she read off the whole book, and I said, "Sterile processing." Stop right there. What is that? So she read me off the list that you go through, you clean everything, get it sterile, get it ready to go, and the most important part is, without you, there's no surgery. So in my profession, in my job, I pat myself on the back a lot because I know that I did a good job for the people that have had surgeries yesterday or today, and the people that are going tomorrow that are going to have surgeries. I know that I had a helping hand in either them getting better, them recovering, anything like that. I know that I had a direct hand in helping. To me, it's just gratifying because I know that I'm helping somebody yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I'm helping. I'm actually a huge part of. You have a broken ankle. I have to make sure all the pins and screws are in this case that are ready to go for that broken ankle. And they're clean, and there's no debris, and there's no nothing on it. That's part of my job. Also, in the middle of surgeries, if a surgeon or a tech drops something, it can no longer be used. It's done. They have to have another one. So a sterile tech has to bring a sterile instruments or whatever up during surgery if they have to. So we have to have that on hand as well. So it's not just cleaning and packing and getting that surgery case ready. We have to have extras ready on hand in case of a surgery call says, "Hey, I need whatever kind of pickups or forceps." Okay, they're on their way right up. So we also have to be ready on hand in case the surgery is going awry. We have to bring them up stuff, fix the surgeries. So basically, This is an unheard of profession that nobody really knows about. So I'm glad to be up here to tell you guys about how important my job really is compared to a nurse, compared to a surgeon. But it's like putting on a play. The sterile tech people are the people that are in the back putting the show on. And the surgeons are all the glass, they get to do the show. But people don't realize behind the scenes, there are the techs that are putting this show on. So that famous saying, the show must go on, the techs are actually doing that show. Nobody sees it. So it's not a glam and glitz type of job. It's a satisfaction job that you get by yourself. It's not a job you want to just go do. It's a career. It's something you decide that you want to get into, and a lot of it is a stepping stone to go into surg tech, to go into being a doctor. This is a nice stepping stone. You get all the fundamentals, you get all the basics, you get the knowledge of how the OR works. So not only is it very important that way, it's also a stepping stone if you want to move up. So you start there, and you start getting trained, and you start understanding the importance of sterility and how everything has to stay sterile. You start getting that importance. Like me, I wanted to be a surg tech, but I started doing travel, so now I can't be a surg tech because I can't do school anymore. But I'm this close, I could. But see, so I'm traveling now, and that's kind of out the window. So I'm kind of stuck with sterile, not stuck with sterile processing, but that was supposed to be my stepping stone. But I like it enough now to where I don't want to change. I like my career. I like the things that I do. It's not a hard job. As long as you know the process and you know what you're doing, it's one of the easiest jobs in the hospital. It's just, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just very demanding. There's a very high demand and a turnover because people get into this job and they don't realize what kind of work it is. It's easy and hard at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. It's easy in the sake that you're not really doing physical work, but it's also hard in the sense that there is a very high physical demand during surgery for anything that they might need. Sometimes they have add-on cases that they have to bump a different surgery out of the way for. So we have to start preparing for that. So the stuff we're going to use on this surgery, we're pulling for another surgery. So that's when the frantic starts going. Now we have to start going, crap, now we have to really focus on how to get those instruments back for the case that we stole it from. So that's where the hard part comes in. But other than that, physically, it's not a physical, hard job. Mentally, yes, but physically, no. So that's one of the reasons why I really like my job and what I do. Not only the importance, because it's something you can really thrive at. It's something that once you're good, you can be great. It don't take too much to be great at what I do. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm just that great. Don't want to say it. But you don't have to be that person to be great at this job. If you can remember how to do a test and you can get a good grade on the test, the things don't change. So if I'm working on a set, that set's the same that it was yesterday, and it's going to be the same tomorrow. It has the same stuff in it. So I'm just making sure all this same stuff is there. It's not dirty, and it's all complete if there's parts to assemble or not assemble. So basically, that's my whole job in a nutshell, and the importance of it. And there's not really much more to say about it, I guess. I mean, it's not as you think. EVS people are the people that like make beds. You've heard of them. You've heard of janitors. You've heard of doctors, but you've never heard of sterile processors. But going forward, now that you guys all have some sort of knowledge of that, maybe one of you guys might want to look into it when you go into college, so you can have that stuff. A lot of people want to go into like farm tech, or a stepping stone in nursing, but that doesn't give you the exact experience of OR. This is a very good starting point if you're trying to move up into the OR. It gets you established, it gets you working around surgeons and nurses so you can get a feel for it. After I've been a sterile processor, I don't think I'd want to be a nurse. Just because I know what their job is now, and I don't think I would personally like it. And I would only know that because I went through these classes. Now, of course, they do have on-the-job training, and they're trying to standardize that, so you have to be certified first, but that's coming down the road yet. So basically, getting in there, they'll train you on the job, which I don't recommend because it's a lot of instruments, a lot of process, a lot of things that you should not have to be learning on the spot. You go to school for it, you learn it, you know it, you get out, you do an internship, then hopefully you get a job. That's the route you should take to take this on. And because right now you don't need a degree, you need a certificate. So you don't need to go through 2 full years of college to get into this. You can also be grandfathered into, changing your classes for surg tech or changing your classes for nursing, because you'll have 3/4 of them out of the way just for doing sterile processing. So that's a huge save if you actually want to be an RN or you want to be some kind of nurse tech or something. That's a great door to open up to get in there and try to check it out. It's entry level, so like I said, you don't need knowledge, but it'd be great to have it beforehand. And other than that, just the importance factor of it is that you're saving someone's life. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could be killing somebody instead of saving their life. So it's not an easy thing to think about and think, oh crap, I had a dirty instrument. I might have gave this person an infection for the rest of their life. Because I didn't want to take time to do this right, or I didn't want to, make sure that I had everything clean. No, you have to check, and then check again. So you don't rush into this job. It's a job that you really want to make sure you have accurate. You don't want to have missing instruments. Everything is a possible need in a set. So to you, it might seem insignificant, but to the doctors that are using that, you don't know what it's used for, and they might really, really need that specific tool. But you didn't want to check to make sure it was there, or you didn't really care to go forward and check. So now, if they don't have that in the meeting, you just doubled up work for yourself. Because now you got to actually go find that instrument they need and redo it, or whatever. So you're making more work for yourself. So you got to make sure you got to just be, I guess, cognizant and diligent at your job. As long as you are just keeping on the flow of the process, it's okay. But as soon as you start getting lazy, or you don't feel like doing your job right, you always got to remember, you're putting someone's life. What if it's your mom? What if it's your cousin? What if it's your uncle? Whatever. You don't want to have them nasty tools used on them, so you don't want to use them on anybody else. So that's a huge thing of just check again. It's never going to hurt anybody to say, oh, I think I want to check this over, or have someone check it over. Fine. Please do. My mom might be on the table tonight. And I don't know about you guys, but with my mom's on the table, I want the best stuff possible. The cleanest stuff, the fullest stuff, everything out there, I want it to be perfect. And I don't want some yahoo out there pretending like they know what they're doing and just shoving stuff in and sending it out. It's just part of the process that you just need to keep on keeping on. And once you got the process down, you can just keep flowing with it, and then it just all works. And you know you're doing it right, and you know you're helping. So the time that you sit there and you're in this job and you're like, hell with this, then quit. That's not for you. Decide that quickly. Because this is a life-saving job that I have. It sounds like it's the lower end of the barrel job, but I have the most important job in the whole hospital. So, think about that anytime you guys wanna, if you guys wanna try out, you know. Maybe you guys could shadow at Mercy or something if you were interested. They have, that's a teaching hospital, so you can get with an administrator or whatever and say, hey, I'm curious in sterile processing. Could I shadow for the day? They would let you. So you can see what, I mean, how many of you guys know, how many of you guys think forceps? How many forceps do you think there are? Just guess. 5. There's 5 of one kind. There's about 50 different kinds of forceps, at least. And not to mention needle holders, scalpel blades, everything. There's so many out there. There's thousands of different instruments that you need to know. And they're not all the same. Some look very similar, but they are actually that much different. And that's another thing you need to keep in mind and pay attention to. You gotta have the right instrument. You gotta have the right length. You gotta have the right amount of teeth on it. I mean, there's things that you have to have the right things of in order for, yes.
So Dave, I don't want to interrupt you.
No.
Turn it out there, but you talk of all the equipment. So my question is, if, let's say, there's certain equipment for specific surgeries,
Which there is.
okay? If, let's say, they get the wrong scalpel for a certain type of surgery, then is it you or the surgical technician has to make that correction, or how do they go?
It'd be us.
Okay.
So what we have what are called peel back,
Okay.
plastic tie-back packs that you can use single items to sterilize. So if they have the wrong, something less than one at a time, then we can send that. That's what the other part of my job was talking about. If it's hairy, I mean, they can call 20 times in 10 minutes. Hey, we need this, we need this, we need this, hey, we need this. Hey, so-and-so dropped this. So it can be hectic if that's happening. Also, if a surgeon is not in the happiest mood for the day, they can make your life a living hell. And they usually tend to. Because if they're not going to blame their techs, they're not going to blame my boss. Well, actually, they're going to blame my boss. And then my boss is going to say, hey, yo, what's up? So they have that in place. So also, on one of the kind of things, there's a thing called immediate sterilization. It's called IUSS, which you try not to do ever because it's a shorter, less processier type of situation. It'll sterilize something in like 10 minutes versus an hour. So it's not what you want to do. It's an emergency thing. You're not just supposed to, hey, I don't have a scalpel handle. We're just going to go ahead and flash one. No. Because A, it's dangerous, and B, it's very expensive. So they try not to do that whatsoever. So we have multiples of all of these things. So if they call to, hey, you sent us a 7-handle, we need a 3-handle. Okay, it's coming right up. And we have one of our guys go find it and go send it up to them. You know, a lot of times it happens when a tech drops it. Once your hands stay like this when you're in a sterile field the whole time. If you drop your hands, then they have to rip the whole room down. They have to rip everything out of it, everything. So you have to stay, you have to walk like this. It's weird, but you literally have to keep your elbows up and hands up and not touch anything. If you touch anything, it's done. I accidentally bumped into a door and they had to rip the whole room down because I touched the door. So you gotta be real cognizant of what is going on around you. You can't just go touch something, especially without gloves on. So without gloves, you definitely have to walk in the OR like this. It looks weird, but if you don't walk around the OR like this, and you have to end up ripping a room down, that surgeon's going to be pretty upset, rather upset actually. So as a sterile tech, when I'm going up to the OR, I got to keep that in my head too. That's not just for doctors and techs. A tech can't just be like, well, I'm a tech, so I can just, move my arms out. No, they still have to walk like this. With their hands out and their arms pretty much on their sides. So they pretty much have to walk right in the OR like this.
So you're not really allowed to reach across the field for
as long as they have their gloves on and they have all of their proper PPE on, yes. But me, I couldn't just walk in there and be like, okay, I'll take that and because not only I just grabbed that, I touched every single thing on that table. So now everything's done for them. Now everything they can't use, so they have to get more of it.
So can you explain to the students, and it came up as a question, of why after you're all in your sterile and you've been instructed and you're in your sterile attire, is it important to keep your hands above your?
Yes. Just because of the same fact that even being gowned up, once your hands go down and you start moving around and everything, then you start getting to touching stuff. And you're not supposed to be touching anything unless it's, the surgical equipment or whatever. Other than that, you gotta get everything ready. So they go through and they open it up. Once it's on like a back table, that's their work table. Then you gotta keep your hands up after that to keep everything sterile.
Any other questions from anybody? Because I feel like I'm asking all the questions, but anybody have any questions? Because I've got a couple myself too, but we have.
Fire away, whatever you guys got.
How far are you?
Could you repeat
well-
the question when somebody asks you, just so we can get it on tape?
Say that again?
Can you repeat the question when they
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you, please?
Say, how far would I willing to travel?
Yeah.
That is a person-specific answer. I have a family, so I try to stay by home. But I've been to California, I've been to Baltimore, I've been to Tennessee, I've been to Texas, South Carolina. I've been all over, but now I try to stay home by Muskegon, so it's about 2 hours. But if you're doing the same thing I'm doing, you don't have a wife or a girlfriend or kids, you can go to Dubai if you want to. I have international certification, so I can go to Dubai, I can go to China, anywhere in the whole world I can go to and work. Of course, I have to know language in there, but the process is still the same. So if you wanted to join and you put your time and you want to go travel, it's an open book. There's wherever you wanted to go, wherever you want to do for a shift or whatever is on you. I choose to stay close to home. I don't like missing the old kiddos.
What kind of hours does the sterile technician have?
What kind of hours? That's a great question. Actually, they vary. I can't give you a specific because it's just like any other job you're at. There's the typical 3 shifts, first shift, second shift, third shift. But then there's split shifts, there's weekend shifts, there's 12-hour shifts. I mean, hospitals have any shift you can think of, they have. So it depends on what you would agree to. So if you're going to fill out an application and it would tell you what shift. So you'd be like, okay, second shift, 3 to 11. Okay, that's where I'm going to sign up. Or maybe you want to work the weekend, so you're going to do 3 12s. So then you do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you just do 12s, and then you got the whole week on. You regular first shift. I mean, it just varies. It depends on what you decide you want to get onto. It varies.
Does the job requirements and the jobs change depending on where you are?
Say that again.
Does the job and its requirements change depending on where you are?
Does the job and the requirement change depending on where you are? No, because it's just the job description is the job description. So basically, it says you're going to be a sterile process technician, and you're going to just agree to these hours. So the process always is the same. Now, the instruments, however, sometimes are different. They're the same, but they're called different. And different hospitals just have different nicknames for stuff. So something that might be a normal cryo forceps, they might call something else somewhere. It's still a cryo forceps, but the hospitals might just have it as another name. So that's the only hard part about traveling really is knowing not my foundation, but the hospitals, what they name stuff as and how they do things. That's the hard part about traveling. Every 13 weeks is a new hospital, it's a new set of rules, but my fundamentals and everything are the same. Sterilization is the same no matter where you are. So, well, I mean, different hospitals have different policies, different names of everything. So that's the only thing that's that basically.
What kind of schooling did you need?
What kind of schooling do I need? You just need to get all your prereqs out of the way. So math, English, science, which you got to do for any job anyway. And then it just a certificate program. So if you're focused, which I wasn't really, you could literally have all these classes out of the way, and right when you graduate, do a certificate, and then you'll be done that year, ready to start. And it's a very, very high demand job because nobody knows about it. So jobs are everywhere. Any hospital has a huge need for sterile process guys. Someone have a question?
Have you ever accidentally cut yourself while you were like?
Have they accidentally cut myself? Great question. No, I haven't. I have seen people that have, because sometimes they'll leave scalpel blades or some sharp when it's time to clean. But I don't like that protocol, so I make sure, first and foremost, I grab everything sharp that I can. And I'm not just doing this blind. I'm not reaching into any set, just grab it. No, anything that's sharp, I pick out first, one by one. I'm not going to get pulled. There's an age thing that you have to do a test for. You can't work for 5 days or something until it comes back. So I'm just not going to poke myself. So I take extreme measures so I don't have to cut myself. But I have seen someone get poked a couple times. You just got to be more diligent and careful. Someone else have a question?
I had a question, and it goes off your coursework. So you said in prereqs, how long was your certification? How long does it take?
How long is my certification? My certification is forever as long as I renew it once.
For the training, the classes, then how long does the certification? Following
A year.
a year?
Or less. It's just a program.
Okay,
So what took me long was getting through the prereqs,
gotcha.
which is great for you guys doing this now. I mean, you guys don't even understand how great this is for you guys now. I feel like I'm old as dirt talking to kids, but I didn't have this opportunity when I was in high school. Let's be honest. If I would have had this opportunity, I wouldn't have taken it. Because college wasn't in my books. I wasn't planning on college. I didn't go to college until I was 30. I wasted all that time. I should have, whatever. I didn't. But you guys got this awesome opportunity to get credit for college for free. I'm $65,000 in debt right now because of college, because of student loans. And this is just a huge, huge opportunity for you guys to be able to take on like this. It's pretty impressive that you guys are even here wanting it. You guys are here because you want this. You're not here because your parents are forcing you here because you want to be here. I'm here. I work at the hospital and doing what I do because I want to. I want to save lives. I want to be helpful with someone, knowing that I seen one time a guy came in with gangrene on his foot. This is the only surgery I got to be a part of to watch. So the surgeon was going to reroute an artery into a vein so the guy could have blood flow. I said, well, what'd you do that for? He goes, I just saved the guy's foot. So from then on, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like the surgeon decided he can reroute a vein artery into a vein into somebody's foot so he can save their foot. So from then on, I'm like, okay, not only is it awesome that I'm helping out, but I'm the major part of why he gets to use them instruments. And to me, that's just satisfying. I love it. It's just the best feeling to me. But like I said, you guys got this great opportunity. You guys really could be a sterile processor almost directly out of high school. Maybe a year, and that's it.
So would you recommend like them doing like the college, the prereqs, and the program on site, have training, or?
Oh no, certainly I recommend.
Which one would you say, I mean, they're both probably great, but which path would you?
Being in this field right now, I would not go into it without training.
Okay.
That's me. I like going into something with a knowledge of. I already know it. It's just a stage. So I don't want to go in there filled up. So yeah. For me, it would, but then again, I also can't do online classes because I don't learn that way. So,
So on a job training, maybe you see somebody else first.
yeah, it could, but for me, I would have to say go to college because then you get that upper hand on somebody. So you're there, you already got experience, now you got the person that has to run, and they're learning, but you're already above them because you're now. So you can just walk in, hit the ground, and start working, and you don't have to worry about, anything else. You just start doing that.
When somebody who went to college and then got certified, end up being paid more than somebody who just received training from maybe that hospital?
Yes, but typically certifications and more money type thing is for travel.
Okay.
And so you might get to go from a Tech 1 to a Tech 3, which
There's levels.
maybe $1 or so more. It's not like you're getting a huge, significant pay increase. But it's starting to become more of a requirement you even have a certification. So it was starting that you could just walk in the door, they'll hire you, and you're good, you learn. But now it's like, okay, we'll do that, but you have 90 days to certify, which is another huge reason why you want to go to school first. Because it's kind of a pain in the butt, really, to get at the certification when you're just now learning how to do your job. And you have 90 days to do this test, that's why it's way better to just knock it out. Right out the gate, that way you're already trained. And most of those questions on the exam are things I went through the training. Yeah. Would my place of employment pay for my education? Typically, yes. When I was at Mercy, they were going to pay X amount of dollars for college, and then they actually pay for your certification if you pass. But if you fail, obviously, that's not. But I think they were going to give you like $2,500 a semester or something like that. I'm not really sure. I was at the end of my college when I started. But they will pay when you got to pass. You can't play with the money. But I mean, they will pay for it as long as you're showing that you're. But also, they usually want you to stick around for like 2 years or something after they pay. Whatever. Let them pay for it. Take 2 years and do what you're going to do. Any other questions at all?
Jada, any questions that you've collected? Any questions that you've collected?
Yeah. How long have I been doing this? I've been doing this since 2015. You can't go into traveling for 2 years, so they really want you to have your experience. And once you have the experience and you decide to go on the road, it's an open book. Where we go. Traveling is not just for sterile processing. There are nurses, there are anesthesiologists, techs, there's phlebotomists, travel techs. I mean, anything in the hospital, there's a trailer. So it's not just my job. Anywhere there's going to be shortage, there's going to be vacations, there's going to be maternity leave, there's going to be funerals or whatever. People getting fired, they just, there's always openings for that. Yeah.
Is that like short-term?
Is a short term? Yes. They're, if you look, they're sometimes if you're lucky enough, they're 4 weeks, 8 weeks. Those are, to me, worthless because by the time you get there and you figure out what's going on, it's over. Like I like to get where I go. I like to master. I don't like to ask anybody questions when I get there. So I've been in Traverse City now for a year, and I personally like to master my craft or what I'm doing. So I wouldn't want it for a week. I want to be there. I personally want to show up and do better than you, her, everybody that's near me. I want to do better than them, and that's just me. That's why I like a 4 week thing because it takes me 4 weeks to get acclimated to what my situation is. Yeah.
How many extra steps on sterile do you have?
How many ready?
Yeah.
That depends on how many.
I'm sorry,
Say that
what was
again,
your-
so I
what was
can
your
understand.
How many extra steps are
How many extra sets do we have on hand? That depends on how many we have. So there's a set called an ortho major set, which is a basic ortho set, which you guys know or not, that's pretty bones. So we have like 14 of those. And We have a sheet that tells us how many we have. So this will be set 6 out of 13 or 14 or whatever it is. And we like to try to have them all put as much as possible. But we have a list for the day of what we need for the next surgeries. And we have to make sure we have at least that and maybe 1 or 2 more on hand just in case. If an emergency walks in or if anything in a set's wrong. So we have to have at least a couple on hand just to be sure. So. Do they pay for your trip? Who's that? Well, that's an interesting question.
What was the question?
Do they pay for your travel? Yes, they do. But you get money for it, so like the way I do it, I don't let them pay my travel. I pay my own travel. Because if they pay your travel, they rob you. They'll take all your extra money to pay for your housing. So I do that myself. I get paid for it, but I choose to do it myself.
And then you have this like a write-off then for you?
No, I get what's called a stipend.
Okay.
So literally on paper, I make $16 an hour for tax. And my stipend is where all my money is tax-free money. So while I'm making $16 on paper, it looks like I make $400 a week. My personal contract this week is $1,800 a week. So no matter what happens, hourly and not hourly, that's what I'm taking home at the end of the day. So yes, they do pay, but it's just better off if you take advantage of just having the money and figuring out your own travel. It's a pain, but if you want more money in the end, that's how you do it. Someone else had a question. Yeah, you.
What does a typical day or week look like for you?
What does a typical day or week look like for me? Well, today I'm going in at noon. Well, I'm leaving here at noon. Get there by 3. My typical day is a lot different than any other typical day. So, a regular typical person's day would be going in, cleaning your station, getting ready to go. Yeah. My typical day, I go in, and I have a talking problem, so I talk to people until around 4:30-ish, which my bosses are real thrilled about, but that's how I do it. Then I'll go and grab myself a cart full of all the instruments I'm going to do for the day. And then I just get at it. I just start hitting my sets. Typically, people do 20 sets a day or so. I make it so I can do like 50 or 60. I try to maximize my efficiency by doing the less amount of steps. Less steps, more money. So I grab 1 cart of stuff, take it back to my station, and I work on that 1 cart until it's gone, and I go back and get another cart. Other people don't use efficiency, so they'll go grab a tray, bring it back, do it, grab a tray, bring it. That's not efficient. So my regular day is different than any other day. But typically you would go there, clean your station, do that, start doing that. If you're that. If not, if you're in, it depends on what part that you're doing for the day. So if you're in decontamination, where you're cleaning everything, you count up real quick and you just start cleaning all the dirty stuff. So it depends on where you're at for the day.
It sounds like you'd be very detail oriented.
Yes.
Have you always been that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
So it's kind of been a personality trait.
And that's why when they read off the description, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like something I'm going to do. Not only I'm detailed about things, which you have to be. It's like a stack of papers freaks me out. So that's straight paper. So it's just not the detail. I don't know what to say. It's a little more than just the detail.
Yeah.
Yes? What?
Let me see. Would you consider surge tech later on?
I've been considering it, and now that I've really seen surge tech and what actually goes on in the OR, no.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Because, and I mean, I got thick enough skin for it, but if you don't have thick skin, don't do it. A doctor can talk to you any dang way they want. And they make the rules of the hospital, so you don't like it, leave. And it's really, they really can talk to you any way they really want to. They don't care. They run the hospital. And I've seen that a couple times. I'm like, no thanks. I'd rather just, do what I'm going to do down here versus that.
I have another question. A lot of places are complaining about being short-staffed.
Question
Are you seeing that out there as well?
Oh, so the hospital is a short-staffed entity. Doesn't matter. If you're thinking of a hospital, you already know it's short-staffed. So that means that that's where the pressure comes into work. They don't have enough people. Up in Traverse City right now, they're 13 or 14 scrub techs short. So their scrub techs are doing double duty, and they have to cancel cases because they don't have enough help. That's where travelers come from. Because the thing about a traveler is, you got to be the best of the best. You're the elite. You're there because you know what you're doing. You don't have to ask questions. You hit the ground running. You don't say, what instrument is this? No. You get in, you do your job, and you don't ask questions. That's a traveler. You're hired to be an elite person. To need help. When we need help, we're calling you. We don't have time to train your babysit. That's why you're here. That's why you need the 2 years experience.
I don't know if I missed it, but how long have you been a traveler?
Since 2015. Well, I've been a traveler since 17. I've been doing this since 15.
Okay.
And I actually got into this as an accident, travel. I filled out my first travel application, and the lady called me, and she said, hey, they want you. I was like, is this a joke? No. They want you to start. Okay, so I'll start. But I filled out my first application, and I was like, yeah, there's no way they're going to hire me, because I didn't have 2 years experience. But that just goes to show
Almost,
you.
but not quite.
Right. I had about a year and 9 months or so.
Oh, okay.
But that just goes to show you how short they are. That they will really let you start up. But if you get there and they find out you don't know what you're doing, they'll let you go. And that's the other thing about being a traveler. I am basically a manpower employee. So if I sneeze the wrong direction or something, someone doesn't like it, you're a problem driver. We're going to find another driver. So not only you got to be the elite, you got to stay on the best of your best behavior that you can possibly have. Because they don't need a reason.
You're an at-will employee.
At-will employee. So if you're making some kind of ruckus or you're not holding up your end of the deal, then they're going to let go of you. They're just not going to deal with it. And then if that word starts getting out, nobody will deal with it.
Just to go back, I just have one. If any of our students are considering sterile processing, is the program here in Muskegon then?
Baker.
At Baker, okay. And then they have the surge tech as well, correct?
Baker, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I got all my prereqs out of the way at MCC.
Okay,
Then I went over to Baker.
okay.
And I just did my sterile process program at Baker.
Baker, okay. And your credits transferred from MCC to Baker then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it feels like it's eons ago, but I don't know if how they do things now. So I can't speak of that.
Right.
But it did when I was here.
And this, like you said, it's a great stepping stone as far as if they want to go into surgical tech, which I know they have a great program for that as well, but nursing, something like that.
I work with a few people right now that were doing school for surge tech while working sterile processing.
Okay.
And you're getting that much more knowledge that you're not getting from school. The experience of how the OR works and what is going on in the OR. You get that experience. So that's why it's a stepping stone and an add-on, because you already get that experience. You don't have to be blind on your first day of an internship and going to be an RN and say, whoa, I don't know about this. I don't know if I want to, they waste all the time, all that money. At least if you're in there, you can say, yeah, I don't know about this. Or, yeah, this is great, I'm going to pursue this. So it's really is entry-level stepping stone just for almost anything else you want to do.
And to do an internship, then you're in a great place to actually get employment usually, or is that?
Yes. Well, I did my internship when I was at Hackney,
Okay.
and I started at Hackney. It was just because it had a spot. So it's not, you're not guaranteed just because you have an internship somewhere, you get a job there.
Sure.
You still got to fight people off on a regular interview basis. So nobody applied for it. I had to just get it. But I would have gotten it anyways because I had that training already. So me and you are going in there, you have zero training. I've already been here to get hours. So now I know what's going on. I know how the flow works. The boss isn't going to choose you, she's going to choose me.
So it does help, but it's not
Big time.
guaranteed, yeah.
Plus, you need to have 400 hours for your certification. That internship counts within 400 hours. So if you don't get your 400 hours, you can take the test, but it won't be valid until you get your hours. And if you don't get those hours in a lot amount of time, then you just took that test for you.
No, good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? Though?
Anything else?
It's a Monday, right? Who cares?
So what's the minimum you'd be willing to travel somewhere for? Would 13 weeks be like?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to stay in Michigan.
Okay.
But like I said, I've been to California. And these kids have been all over with me. California, DC, Baltimore, Tennessee, whatever. They've been with me on the travel, especially when it's summer break. That's when we went to Cali. Just had a road trip. So like, well, let's go to Cali for 8 weeks and see you guys in a couple weeks after that. So it's pretty much a free trip to Cali, free trip to Baltimore, free trip to Tennessee.
Good way to look at it.
And I mean, once school's in, that's why I try to stay around Michigan, 2 hours away. It was no different for me to work a second shift and not see my kids versus being gone somewhere for the week and work. There's no difference. So I try to stay around home. And then when they go on, summer vacation, like, hey, where do you guys want to go? I'll get a job there. Could have had a job in Hawaii, but no, because married your kids, so that didn't work.
They need you there too.
I can go to Hawaii whenever I want. All I gotta do is type in Facebook, want to go to Hawaii. I get 20 people that will come to me and tell me, oh, I got Hawaii, there's a spot for you.
Yeah, you better go.
Anything else?
They had questions too, so you must have answered. Did anybody have any questions?
I have. I'm
you
open
didn't
book,
answer?
so I really don't care what you ask. The whole process or just a sterile process? Once we get everything wrapped up and ready to go, how long does the process of sterility take? Once it's wrapped and in the sterilizer runs an hour and 10 minutes. And then it has to cool, it has to get down to 78 or 80 degrees before they can use it. Because if it's higher than that, you set it on a flat surface, it'll get moisture. And that's no good. Because moisture means not sterile. So there's another process you got to follow. So take it out of the sterilizer and the surgeon says, I need it now. I need that now. Then you're signing off on it. And we're not taking responsibility for it anymore. If you need it this second, we can't wait till it's cool to our parameters. So we have to force the surgeons. The surgeons are the one who have to sign off on it. And if they don't, then you wait. But a surgeon will try to pull it off. Oh, I need this now. Well, you need to wait. Or you need to sign off on it because we're not responsible for it.
So there's not like a machine that will take that temperature down faster?
The person with an infrared gun goes around and shoots all the temperatures to know if they can put it back on the rack.
Okay.
But usually that takes about an hour because they get sterilized at 275 degrees. The whole process is in there for an hour. The actual sterile cycle is only 4 minutes. But the whole sterile cycle is an hour. So the only gets sterile for 4 minutes. But what the autoclave does is it sucks all of the oxygen out of the chamber. So you have nothing but sterile air. Steam, sorry. So there's no air, there's no water, there's no nothing. It sucks all of it out and pressurizes it like an airplane cabin. And it just sterilizes it just with steam only. And that's part of the process of learning that, you know, is beneficial for school instead of just going in. Why are you drying stuff off? Well, I'm drying stuff off because droplets of water harbor bacteria. Bacteria makes a dirty set. Dirty sets shouldn't be worked on humans. So you just got to know all the processes of everything we do.
Has technology in this field changed since you did your internship?
As technology is a revolving door. There's no job, there's no occupation you can have where technology is not going to evolve somehow. My last, not travel, but my last job that I had, I was a robotics specialist. So they literally put an Oculus, and they have these things that looks like you're playing a video game, but they can do a surgery here on somebody overseas. They're sitting there doing the surgery with someone in Europe at their hospital. So yeah, technology is always evolving, from imaging to, you know, X-ray to even the instruments that are being used. Everything's evolving constantly in the medical. And if it isn't, we're going to be, you know, at a loss. Everything's about how can we make it less invasive? How can we make recovery time better? How do we make it more pleasurable for you to have this done? Right now, you can have a gallbladder removed or an appendix removed, and there's 3 little incisions. It used to be they had to cut your whole guts open, hold your whole stomach open, take out that little gallbladder, and then put you off that, which was months of recovery. Now it's 3 incisions. You have a scope incision, a cutting incision, and a grabbing incision. That's it. And you tie up your little incisions and you're back on your feet in 3 days. So technology has to evolve that way to make patients' life better. From medieval times, you should see some of the instruments that are from the 1800s that were cool. Glad they don't use that on me because, well,